Sorry about this. 1 minute. Try and work. Something's gone wrong. Restart. Hold. Sorry. Over here. 1 minute. Sorry about this. Okay. Am I the right way up now? Can you guys see me? All good now? Okay. Welcome everyone. Today we're learning Brochos Daf Chof Tes Amud Aleph. We're 2 lines from the bottom of Chof Ches Amud Beis. Tonu Rabbanan. So the second line from the bottom of 28b. Says the gemorah. Tonu Rabbanan Shimon Afakuli. This is the Shmeina Esrei Brochos of Rabbi Gamliel. Shimon Afakuli, I'm not sure how you pronounce that name, but he prayed the 18 Brochos, Shmeina Esrei, 18 Brochos, in front of the Nasi Rabbi Gamliel. Al Haseda, in order. What does that mean? Al Haseda, I don't know. B'Yavne, in Yavne. Omalehem, Rabbi Gamliel Chachamim, Rabbi Gamliel turned to Chachamim, and turned to the rabbis, and he says to them, Klum yesh adam, shedeh sakein, Birchas HaMinim. Is there no one here amongst us that knows how to institute Birchas HaMinim, the bracha v'lamashinim? So, a bracha against the people, a bakasha, tefillah against those who are coming to uproot Judaism. L'chayra, it's talking about the tzdukim who were in the time. They didn't believe in the chacham, they didn't believe in the oral Torah. So, Omad Shmuel Akata, and Shmuel Akata got up v'tikna, and he was masak in the bracha. Then an interesting thing happened. L'shana Chares, next year, they asked him to go pray. Shachacha, he forgot the bracha. He didn't know what to say. He was the one that made the bracha, he made the prayer, but he forgot the nusach. V'hishkif ba shtayim v'shalosh shayos. He stood there trying to scan his thoughts. He's trying to work out what the bracha was, trying to remember the bracha. 2 or 3 hours he stood there at the bima trying to remember the bracha that he himself instituted. V'lo yeh'eluhu. They did not remove him from the bima. So gemorah asked, Amay lo yeh'elu. Why didn't they remove this guy? V'amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda said the name of Rav. Ta b'chal ha'brachas kulan eimal l'noisei. If someone makes a mistake in any of the brachas besides for this one, you don't remove him. We'll assume it's a mistake. But Birchas HaMinim, if someone makes a mistake when it comes to the cursing of those who are our enemies, Ma'aloi say, we remove him. Why? Chayshin and Shem Aminu. We're worried. Maybe he himself, he's a min. He's one of the L'mashinim, one of the people that go to the authorities and rat on us. So that's why Shani Shmuel, the Gemara answers Shmuel is different. You don't remove Shmuel. The Ihu Tikna, he himself was the one that instituted this tefillah. You wouldn't have to worry about it. So the Gemara asks, why aren't we worried that maybe he himself became a man? What? He's guaranteed that he's not going to, just because he made the tefillah, it means he's protected. Maybe he himself changed his mind. Maybe he joined the dark side, right? So the Gemara answers, maybe he was flipped. The Gemara answers, nah, we don't assume that. Why? Amabai Gmiri, I was taught, Tava lo have a bisha. Someone that's good, he won't become bad. He's good. He's one of the good guys. He'll never be a bad guy. So really, is that true? If once you're a good guy, you never become bad. If a tzaddik does tshuva for his tzidkas, he repents for doing righteous, and he'll become evil. The Gemara says, "Nahu Rasha Meikarai." If someone was originally bad, they're originally Rasha, then he becomes a tzaddik. He becomes righteous. So he could go ahead and regret becoming righteous and go back to becoming evil. Aval tzaddik Meikarai Loi. If he was always righteous, he's not going to become evil. So before we go further, I just want to point out that they ask, how could Shmuel not remember this tefillah? What, he didn't say it every day? He He didn't daven every day. He was misaken this tefillah. He himself was misaken. How could he not remember it? So what they explain is that he was one of those that Torah Nosai. He was learning Torah the whole day. He didn't have to daven. So he maybe didn't pray at all. It's not that he didn't say he wasn't misaken this and then he himself didn't say it. He didn't pray at all. That's why he didn't remember the tefillah. That's the pashas over here. Otherwise, why would he not remember it? Now, just another interesting point. Why did it say, the way they use the terminology to remove him, they say, ein malin oisai. Why did they say ein malin oisai? Malin means to upraise him, to lift him up. The Lashon, when you send someone to go to the Amud, you say, Meridin ois lateva. When you remove him, it's called malin oisai, you uplift him. Why is removing him called uplifting him? So they explain this because it says in the pasuk about Makim Karsich Hashem, you're supposed to pray from somewhere lower down. So they used the place where the chazan used to stand was lower down than the rest of the shul. It represented some type of humility. So the chazan davened low down. So if he's praying lower down, when you remove him, you uplift him, you pick him up, you get him out of there. Now it would appear from here that if you make a mistake in any other bracha, we don't remove you. The Mishnah Berurah brings the Bach and the Smag. They both say that if it's b'mezid, if a person doesn't say any of the other brachas, but it's intentional, if it's b'sheigeg, unintentional, we don't remove a guy. A guy skips a bracha, a guy, whatever, he botches it up, we don't remove him. But if it's intentional, says the Mishnah Berurah, we do remove him. I heard about some people that don't want to say Shvei Chamoscha on Pesach. It's not liberal enough for them. There's things people don't say. If it's amazing, you decide not to say it, we'll kick you out of there. It's a machlekes if we ever let you back. We don't ever let you back, but we do kick a guy out for saying the wrong things, for even other things. One of the kashas here is that what happens if the guy, so this guy, we're worried he's a min, we're worried he's not pikaris. What about if he doesn't say the brach of Tchias HaMeisim? The dead are going to all come back to life. Mashiach comes. What if he skips that? Do we remove him? Or not?
They don't say it in Reform Shuls.
They don't say it in Reform Shuls? Tchias HaMeisim? Oh, really? Oh, so it's a thing. Okay, so according to Rishonim gemorah, we kick him out of there. If a guy doesn't say Tchias HaMeisim, we remove. Yeah, he's out of there. According to Talmud or Ben Yaina, they say, no, it's different. First of all, there's two differences. First of all, you could be a min, you could be an apikaris, and still believe in Tchias HaMeisim. It's not like that is all apikarim don't believe in Tchias HaMeisim, right? So it's not like the stand that you'll take. They don't believe in Tchias HaMeisim. Some do believe in Tchias HaMeisim. Maybe they don't believe in our Tchias HaMeisim. They've got different versions of it. I don't know what, but it's not like this is what all the min believe in Tchias HaMeisim. The other nukuda is that the brach v'lamashinim. Even if a guy's a min, he might still say Tchias HaMeisim. Just because he doesn't believe in it, doesn't harm him, no skin off my back, right? But L'mashinim, he's cursing himself, he's not going to say it. He's not going to give himself a curse. So if the guy skips the Mashinim, we know it's because he's for sure min. It's very likely it's because he's a min. Just because a guy says Tchias HaMeisim, well not Tchias HaMeisim, he's not cursing himself in Tchias HaMeisim bracha. So he doesn't care to say it. It doesn't go to his essence, it doesn't go to his core. Okay. So that's the gemorah. So Abaye says, right? Abaye says, once a guy's good, he ain't becoming bad, right? That was Abaye's svara. Gemiri, I was taught, Tavalei have a bisha. Once you're good, you're not becoming bad. The question is, what about Velai? Is that true? Is that true that if you're a good guy, you're not going to become bad? Vatanan. It says in Pirkei Avos, Al ta'amin atzcha bi'admei meischa. Don't believe in yourself to the day you die. A person should always be worried he's going to sin till his last day on this world. Never believe in yourself. Never think you're good. You're righteous. Sharei, why not? Sharei Yechanan Kohen Gadol. There was a Kohen Gadol. His name was Yechanan. Shimish begunig g'day l'shmeinim shana. He was a Kohen Gadol. He was a high priest for 80 years. He was a high priest for 80 years, and what happened? He became a min. He went off the derech. After 80 years of going in the Kodesh Gedashim. For Levasef Naset Stuki, he stopped believing in Tosha Bapeh. Abaye said, you know who this Yechon Kohen Gadol was? Hu Yanai. This is the Melech Yanai. The Melech Yanai, the king that killed many of Chachmei Yisrael. Who Yanai, who Yochanan? The same person. Yanai was Yochanan. And L'chaira, he was first Yanai, and then he became Yochanan. Shimon Mepshetach, I think, was Machzeh B'tshuva, and then he ended up becoming the Kohen Gadol. So Rava Amar, Yanai L'chud, Yochanan L'chud, it's a machlekes. Rava says, no, Yanai and Yochanan are two different people. They weren't the same person. Yanai, Rosha Mikarei, Yochanan, Tzadik Mikarei. So according to Rava, Yanai was a Rosha, he started out a Rosha, but Yochanan started out a Tzadik. So the Gemara says, Hinichel Abaye, that it was originally Yanai, he was originally a Rosha. El Rava Kasha, according to Rava, the Yanai and Yochanan are two different characters, they're two totally different people, and therefore Yochanan was always a Tzadik. How could Yochanan, 80 years, he becomes a Stuki when he's like 100 years old? How does that happen? Amalach Rava. So Rava says, Tzadik Mikari Nami Dilma Hodebei. A Tzadik also can be Chayza. A Tzadik also can L'chaira change his mind. Yehochia Maila Skuha. If a Tzadik can change his mind, so why didn't they kick out Shmuel? If a Tzadik can also become bad, become a spoiled apple, so why didn't they throw out Shmuel? So the Gemara answers, Shmuel's different. Shani, Shmuel, HaKatan, Da'aschil Ba. Shmuel HaKatan is different because he started saying the bracha v'lo malshinim. He didn't skip it completely. He said v'lo malshinim, and he was like, wait, how does it carry on? So we know he didn't, if he would be a tzduki, he wouldn't even start it. The fact that he started saying it means that he wanted to say it, it's proof that he just forgot. When do you kick him out if the guy doesn't start it? Once you've started, you finish. That's the famous klal. You start, you can finish. But Shmuel started, so you can finish. We're not worried he's a tzduki. But other people, even if they are old tzaddikim, we're worried that they might have become Rishonim, and we'll kick them out if they don't start. Once they start, we'll assume there's nothing wrong with them. All right. Hani, so the Gemara asks, let's keep going. Hani Sheva the Shabsa Keneged me. So the Gemara says, the 7 brachas we say on Shabbos. What are these 7? Why do we say 7 brachas on Shabbos? Who is this for? We say the 7 brachas on Shabbos connected the 7 kailes. Kol Hashem b'kayach, Kol Hashem b'ahoda, Kol Hashem alamayim. And so the Mefarshim explain what's it got to do with Sheva Kailes. What does Shabbos have to do with Sheva Kailes? Like what? Ma'an Shemitah Etzla Har Sinai. So what they explain is that the Kailes was said on Har Sinai. That's what Ma'an Shemitah Etzla Har Sinai. The Kailes were given on Har Sinai. When the Torah was given, they saw the Kailes, the Amrei Mesa Kailes. And that's these 7 Kailes in the Mizmor of David. Now you know what you're saying on Erev Shabbos. Kol Hashem Bakach. These were the Kailes on that happened to Har Sinai. And everyone, Kulam Moedim Sheb Shabbos, the Torah was given on Shabbos. And that's why we say 7 brachos on Shabbos connected the 7 Kailes that happened on Har Sinai when the Torah was given. It's all very nice, but I don't understand the whole kasha. You know why we say 7 brachas on Shabbos? Because you always have the first 3 and the last 3. Those aren't touched, and you have 1 in the middle for Shabbos. So you have 7. He doesn't understand the Gemara's kasha. Why do you have 7? You have 7 because you got 3 at the beginning, 3 at the end. 6 plus 1 is 7. So Elamai, you have to say that why weren't the kailal, the Shabbos, in one of the first 3 or the last 3? That's l'chaira's kasha. Why didn't they throw Shabbos into as Kara, like in the first 3 or last 3. So, says the Gemara, we say 9 on Rosh Hashanah, can I get me? Why do we say 9 brachas in Shemoneh Esrei on Rosh Hashanah? On Rav Yitzchak, the min Kartignin, the name of a place, Rashi says, we say 9 things on Rosh Hashanah, Because Chana had 9 times she mentioned Shem Hashem in her tefillah. Olot Slibi B'Hashem, whatever it was, her tefillah, Rashi says. So she mentioned 9 times. That's why in Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, Nifkad Asara, Rachel v'Chana, they were all answered. Chana, when did she pray? She prayed on Rosh Hashanah. She was answered on Rosh Hashanah. That's why she said 9 times Shem Hashem. So we make 9 brachas, and each bracha you say Shem Hashem, obviously, Baruch Hashem. So we say 9 brachas, Shem Hashem, on Rosh Hashanah also. Hani Esim v'Arba the Tanisa Kenega Mi. When there's a tinus, we make 24 brachas. Nowadays, I don't think we know this, but they used to make 24 brachas in the tinus. Kenega Mi, Amar Chalba, Kenega Chav Dollar, Nonis, Shama Shleima, Beshash, Echnes Arn, Beis Kodesh Kadoshim. When Shleima tried bringing the Arna Kodesh into the Kodesh Kadoshim, the gates wouldn't let him in. And Shleima prayed, and he said 24 Renonis. Until the Sushar Mashiach, until the gates lifted up, and Shlomo was able to bring in miraculously the Aron into the Kodesh Kodashim. So we should say 24 every day. Why just on the fast? Shlomo, and he said he would need a tremendous rachmanis to bring in the Aron HaKodesh. So we only say that on a day of Rachman, when we need rachmanis on a fast, that's when we say the 24. Says the gemorah of Yeshua Oimim Ein Shmoina Esrei. So my main Shmoina Esrei, Yeshua says here, you say Me'ain, a type of Shmoina Esrei. What does it mean, a type of Shmoina Esrei? My main Shmoina Esrei, Rav Alma Me'ain Kol Bracha Bracha. You say a partial part of each bracha. There's 18 brachas. You say a partial of each bracha. It's a machlekes Rishonim. Do you say the last part or the first part? Do you say Ata Chayin L'Adam Das Bracha Hashem Chayin Das? Or do you say the first 3 words? Or you say the last part of the bakasha, and then you say the bracha. You definitely say the bracha. The question is, which part of the rest of the bracha do you say? It doesn't specify. It seems to be a machlekes Rishonim. Maybe there's no kpeda. Rav says me'en kol bracha bracha. You say all 18, but you chop each bracha down into 3 words. Shmuel Amar, you say a separate tefillah called Avinenu. Avinenu. What's Avinenu? The Gemara says, Avinenu Hashem Elokeinu das tokecha. Teach us your ways, that we should follow your way. We should know we should understand l'das tokecha. We should understand your ways. U'meilis levenu yivasecha, and circumcise our hearts to fear you. V'tislach lanu, forgive us. In other words, it's going through all the 18 brachas, 1 word for each one, or 2 words for each one. V'tislach lanu, forgive us. Yes, geulim, we should be redeemed. That's Knega Galisha, V'chaknu b'machavenu, and remove us from our suffering, from our illnesses. V'deshenu b'nai sartecha, v'nefutseinu ma'abakam v'za'at, t'gabes atoyim al dascha, yishbetu, v'al rishayim tonif yadecha, v'yischu tzadike b'vinyan recha, v'betikon echalecha, v'tzichas keren davadecha, v'richas nela v'nishayim ishkecha, terem nikra ta'tane, baruch ata Hashem shemei tefillah. That's the 1-2 words for each of the brachas, 18 brachas. Thank you, Hashem, Shemei Tefillah. I never knew what Shemei was. Brachas, Brachat Hashem, Shemei Tefillah. I heard of Avigdor Miller saying, thank you, Hashem, that you hear our prayers. That's what Brachat Hashem, Shemei Tefillah means. Thank you for listening to our prayers. You ever thought that when you said Brachat Hashem, Shemei Tefillah? Thank you, Hashem, for listening. Someone listens to you, you got to thank them. Thank you for listening. So that's the machlekes Rav and Shmuel. How do we paskin? Rav and Shmuel. So Rav says you say each bracha you get a little bit. Shmuel says you say Avinenu. Now the halacha is we passing like Rav b'dini and Shmuel b'mammon. So this is din. This is not mammon. But pashas we passing like Rav. However, the Rishonim say we passing like Shmuel because other places can bring Shmuel. Other places say we passing like Shmuel. So even though we normally passing like Rav, here we passing like Shmuel. You should say Avinenu, not Menko bracha bracha. But other Rishonim say, guess what? Even though we pass like Shmuel, you should say Avinenu. Since Abai was Mekal, someone that says Avinenu, so Rav's tefillah is better. In other words, who's Machmeh? Rav's Machmeh. Rav says you got to say 18 brachas. Shmuel says, nah, just say Avinenu. So Kal v'chayma, if you could say Avinenu, for sure you could say, like Rav, Me'en kol bracha bracha. That's how the Achronim understand it. So for sure you could say Rav, and maybe even Shmuel. Gemara says, "Layit ola Abaye amad matzi Avinenu." Abaye would curse someone that said Avinenu. Sounds very, very chomer. Rashi says, since this person skips all the brachas, and he puts it all in one bracha, he gets cursed. In other words, the opposite of a bracha is a curse. So you decided to skip all the brachas, you get a little curse from Abaye or a big curse, whatever it is, right? It happens to be that the smug says he's only cursing him if you do it regularly. If you're stuck once in a while, you have to say you're in a rush, you got to say Avinenu, fine. When is it by a curse? Only if you're doing it, you rogil to do that. Take a look at Taisvus. Taisvus says, Top Taisvus, Layetalo Bai Hamanda Matzli Avinenu. V'achi Kaimelon. This is how we paskin. Says Taisvus, don't say Avinenu. You say it, you get a curse from Abaye, from the great Abaye. V'yesh Sfarim Demasik, some Sfarim say, Hani Mili B'masa, of a B'derech Shari. When do you get cursed if you say Avinenu? When you're in shul, you're in town, rather, then you get a curse. But if you're traveling, no problem, say Avinenu. Because we have gemorahs that people travel, they said Avinenu. So, or they said it's Tfilah Ktsara. So l'chayra they said Avinenu. It's machlekes they said Avinenu. They said me'ein kol bracha. But Taisa says that if you're traveling, no problem. Taisa Rabbeinu Yoina says, Talmud Rabbeinu Yoina say, if you're torrid, you haven't got time to concentrate and say all the brachas. So what you do? Then you can say Avinenu. Then there's no problem. In other words, Avinenu is okay also if you're in traveling, or if you're tired, you're in a massive rush, you can't concentrate. You know you can't concentrate. The Rift says if it's Shasat Chak, whatever that means, you're struggling, you got a job to do, then you can also say Avinenu. The Mogen Avram says that if it says Man Tefillah, you've got 1 more minute to daven, and you can't get in the whole Shmoneh Esrei in 1 minute, you're not going to be able to make it before the says Man Tefillah, so what should you do? You say Avinenu. It takes you 1 minute as opposed to 3 minutes. So say Avinenu. But that only works if you're the Mogen Avram, because the Mogen Avram says that starting is not enough. Places we saw is mashma, that once you get your foot in the door, if you start before the Seisman, you can carry on even after the Seisman. But the Mogen Avram says no, you got to finish by the end of the Zman. And therefore, since you got to finish by the end of the Zman, you say Avinenu. According to Taisus, that doesn't work. Because as long as you start, once you say the first word, Baruch, you can go on for 3 hours. There's no end to it. Exactly. Okay. So, Amar of Nachman. Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel. Again, Shmuel said you say Avinenu. Now, Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel says in the name of Shmuel, Kol Hashana Kulam Mispal Adam Avinenu Chutz B'Motzi Shabbos U'Motzi Yom Tovim. So another name of the same Shmuel, you can always say Avinenu, except for two situations. Motzei Shabbos and Motzei Yom Tovim. After Shabbos, you got to say Motzei Yom Tovim. Some bring this as a raya. You have to say Motzei Yom Tov Atachein L'Adam Das, right? Shtickle Machlekes. So since in Avinenu there's no Atachein L'Adam Das, so you can't say. You can't be mavdol. So maskif lo rabba ba Shmuel, the name of bracha vis b'fnei atzma. If you got to say Havdalah, just add another bracha in there. Say a fourth bracha. Say the others. Say the first 3, then say a fourth bracha Havdalah. Atachayin Adam Das, say in the whole Havdalah. Atachayin Tanu, and then say Avinenu. Throw in another bracha. What's stopping you doing another bracha? So Milay Tnan Rabbi Kiva Eimer. Rabbi Kiva says the whole Havdalah should be a fourth bracha. You don't say Atachan Tanu in Chayin Adas. Atachan Tanu is a separate bracha. It's a bracha revius. Rabbi Lezer Aimer Baidah, you say it in Haidah. The last 3 brachas. So the Gemara says, "Ata Kol Shalom Kulam Yavdin Rabbi Kiva." I don't understand. The whole day we do like Rabbi Kiva. No, we don't do like Rabbi Kiva. So why should here we follow Rabbi Kiva? Why should you make a fourth bracha here? The whole year you say like Rabbi Kiva, and now we're going to do like Rabbi Kiva. My time allowed in Rabbi Kiva. Why don't we do like Rabbi Kiva the whole year? Because Chazal will masaken 18 brachas, not 19. That's why we don't throw it in. Here also, There's supposed to be 7 brachas, Havinenu being the middle one. Tami loy sikken, they were misaken 8 brachas. So that's why you can't make a 4th bracha. So maskif lo mazutra asked kasha, v'nichla michlal Havinenu Hashem Elokeinu, mother because zechal. So why can't you just throw it into Havinenu? Okay, we're not going to add another bracha. But put it in Havinenu. You're saying Havinenu, right? You got this whole long tefillah. Put it in Havinenu. Say Havinenu Hashem Elokeinu Amadim and Kazachal. Throw it in there. Kasha means it's not a tiyufta, and therefore we paskin like this. The some Rishonim bring. It's a kasha. There's answers, but the gemorah doesn't bring an answer. Amar of Bibi bar Abaye. So again, Abai was one that was makal if you say Havinenu, right? So Rabbi bar Abaye said, "Kol hashana kol misvalav Havinenu." You can always say Havinenu chutz b'meisach shamim. Don't say Havinenu when it rains. You know why? In the winter, when it's supposed to rain. You're supposed to ask for rain in Brochos Hashanim. If you don't mention the same Talmud Racha, you're not Yetza.
It's not an ace.
It's not an ace. So you have to ask for rain. So why don't you throw that also in Havinenu? Ask for Geshem in Havinenu. What's the big deal? Why can't you ask for rain in the Broch of Havinenu? Same kasha we had before. So the Gemara answers, you know why you can't ask for rain in Havinenu? Also Letrudi. It's going to confuse you. Too complicated. Yochi Avdalanami, Avdala B'chayadas, Nami also Letrudi. That's why we don't add Avdala in Havinenu, because it's also going to confuse you. Ami Hossam given this betchila slicelay matrid. So the Gemara answers no, it's very different. If you're adding something at the very beginning, Havinenu, and then you add it, it's not going to confuse you. But to add it in the middle, the same Talamat al-Racha, that's going to confuse you. I guess it's easy to concentrate the focus at the beginning. Once you're already halfway through this tefillah, it's too late. It's going to confuse you. If you have to start adding Saint Talamat al-Racha in the middle of Havinenu, you're going to get confused. Let's say a person forgets. If a person forgets in Havdalah, or if a person forgets, to ask for rain, he can ask in Shemat Tefillah. If you didn't ask for rain in Tchesa Mesim, I say, what's it then? If you got to say Mashav Oroach, you go back. If you didn't ask for rain in Brochos Hashanim, I say he doesn't have to pray again. Why? You can always ask for rain in Shemat Tefillah. No, you have to ask for Saint Talamat Racha. But if you forgot to say it in Baruch Eleinu, so you say it in Shemat Tefillah, no problem. If you forget to say Avdol B'chayin Adas, you don't make him go back. Why? If you forgot to say Avdollah in davening, you don't have to daven again. Why? Because you can say Avdollah at home ala kais. So what's the difference between? So you see from here that. So the Gemara is a Torah shani. First of all, if it's a mistake, that's different. You don't make him go back. But if it's intentional, then you would have to go back. What happens if a person doesn't have a kais? You forgot to say Avdollah in Ma'ariv, you don't have a kais. What should you do? The whole reason why you don't have to daven again here, the Gemara says, is because you got a kais. The implication being, says the Bahag, if you don't have a kais, he's traveling, he doesn't have a kais to do Avdollah on, daven again. Rabbeinu Yeni says, no, tomorrow morning and Sunday morning, he's davening anyway. Then he should say ala kais. There's no reason for him to do it, to daven again. Someone doesn't say kshamim in tchesa mesim. You didn't say mashav orach amayde geshem. What's the din? Machzina, so you got to daven again. She'ele b'brichos hashanim. If you didn't ask for rain, Baruch Aleinu, Ein machzir noisai. You don't make him go back. Since he can ask rain in shemet tefillah. Now, v'chavdola b'chaynin adas ein machzir noisai. If he didn't say avdola in chaynin adas, then ein machzir noisai. We'll do two more lines over here. If you didn't do avdola in chaynin adas, we don't make him go back. So gemorah asks, "Meisavei toveles kikvos shom tchias amazing machzir noisai. Shele b'chshonim machzir noisai. V'avdola b'chaynin adas ein machzir noisai. B'nei shiach marakais." So like kasha, ha b'yachid ha b'tzibur. The Gemara says there's a difference. When you're at home, ein machzir noisai, but b'tzibur ein machzir noisai. My time, is it because you can hear the shlech tzibur, so you have to daven again? Yachi, if the reason is because you're going to hear from shlech tzibur, that's what it should say. It shouldn't say because you're going to make kiddush at home, avdol at home. They're both talking about b'yachid, like kasha b'deitka kodesh me'atfila, ha'ideitka deitka basa shematfila. There's a difference if you remembered you didn't say Baruch Aleinu in Shemat Tefillah or before Shemat Tefillah or after Shemat Tefillah. Okay, we'll have to wrap it up over here. Have a wonderful day.